Sports Scene, Hampton Road's premier interview show with Greg Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 1 to 2.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @Greg Bick and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 1 on AM 1650, The Answer. Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddie's. From Chesapeake, Virginia, WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter @Greg Bick. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Sports Scene for the week of 1:15, midweek online and Saturday on the radio from 1 to 2 p.m. Sports Scene is an interview show, and also watch sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Greg Bicouvaris along with Joe Daniel. Tell your friends about gjbtv.com and click the YouTube link on the homepage for archived audio and video. Twitter @Greg Bick, and you'll see the rest of my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com in the contact section. Thank you to our military for what you do 24/7. Guest lineup presented by Mi Casita with 2 locations in Virginia Beach. Sponsors on gjbtv.com, marketplace sponsors, and Hampton Roads onlinemall.com. Phone line presented by Spaghetti Eddie's. Show presented by hrsmhof.com with the big ceremony on May the 12th. Jacksonville versus the Patriots, Vikings versus the Eagles, down to 4 teams. Great interviews, business segments, highlights, commentary, what teased me off. Thank you for making the habit to listen to Sports Scene weekly, and we love our regulars and newcomers. Stay tuned.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 485-5555 today. Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, before we bring in Sonny Dearth, I want to thank our good friends at Panera. All items 100% clean. They deliver excellent catering. Take advantage of the rapid pickup options, soup, sandwiches, salads, bagels, bread, smoothies, excellent breakfast sandwiches. Go by and see Brian and the great staff. Get some cookies and desserts as well as great beverages. And, of course, PaneraBread.com, food as it should be. Give them a call at 483-3670. Visit them in Suffolk and Harborview, of course, at 6255 College Drive. Get some soup today at Panera in Harborview. Sonny Dearth, good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Great to be here.
Always a pleasure. Happy New Year as we're getting here into late January. And, of course, let's start off with the Final Four in the NFL. Always coaching changes going on, but Jacksonville is the big surprise. Tom Coughlin's not the surprise, what he did with the Giants. And, of course, his first time with Jacksonville now in management, taking on the Patriots and the Vikings and the Eagles. What's significant about that game is that the Vikings win, they're playing at home for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they ended the last game against New Orleans with one of the all-time plays. Stephon Diggs with the miraculous touchdown catch. If he'd been tackled in bounds, that game is over.
Only thing I can relate to it is when Cincinnati beat Baltimore in the end of the regular season, kind of the last play before Baltimore had one more possession, of course, with Flacco. But this was very relevant because it was in the postseason, and of course the game pretty much the Vikings controlled most of the game, but the Saints, like always with Drew Brees, they have a way of coming back.
Yeah, and it looked like 3 different times that game had been won. The field goal by the Vikings, then the field goal by the Saints, and then the miraculous touchdown with Case Keenum to Stephon Diggs. That play in Baltimore was celebrated much more in Buffalo than it was in Cincinnati, and it got some good charity funds for Andy Dalton's foundation from thankful Bills fans around the country and world.
It really did a lot of goodwill too, Sonny, because now Lewis has got a few more years left with the Bengals, and that win, who knows? There was some talk that he was going to retire or move on, but that win didn't hurt.
I'm surprised with the career of Marvin Lewis. He's had one of the most interesting careers in NFL history. Very often the Bengals have made the playoffs, but never have they won. And it's a matter of frustration versus consistency, and consistency won out in Cincinnati.
All right, talking to Sonny Dearth from more, go to dailypress.com. Sonny, give us all your Twitter handles and, of course, how people consume the content for the most part these days. It's kind of a fine line between print and online.
Oh, yeah, I'm basically a coordinating editor for all that stuff. I'm at Twitter at SDEARTH.
Very good. All right, talking to Sonny Dearth. All right, let's switch gears to the NBA. I was recently at the Wizards-Bucks game. It was kind of funny. My grandmother was born in Greece. My mother was born in Greece. Yet they have this guy they call the Greek Freak for the Bucks. My grandmother might have issue with it because he's not technically, Mr. Greek himself, but that's his nickname. And, of course, his family was transient during that time of his life. Not sure if he's a Greek freak. I'll say this. He's an excellent basketball player.
Oh, Giannis, absolutely. To me, he is Greek because that's where he grew up and that's where he was raised. And he's becoming one of the best basketball players, not just in Greek history, but in European history and in NBA history, perhaps.
He single-handedly almost dominated the Wizards in the second half recently, too. Hats off to that guy. And, of course, Jason Kidd's got that team. No matter what team Kidd coaches, he's got a solid level of performers. And
one of them, remember, is from the University of Virginia, and Malcolm Brogdon, one of the best players the Cavaliers ever have had.
Right, and Bledsoe as well is very good for the Bucks too. The Bucks had a great lineage back in the 70s with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Good to see them relevant again here in the 21st century. All right, going more to the NBA, it's such a long season. You see LeBron James saying he's tired, the players aren't always meshing. To me, it's going to come down to he's well into his 30s now. They're going to turn it on for the postseason. And compare this, kids. In high school, they might play a couple dozen games. College, they play maybe max 40-plus games. The NBA, it's preseason, on the road, 82 regular seasons, and, of course, 82-game regular seasons, not to mention a long postseason. There's a lot of mileage and tread on all these players.
Oh, for sure. And I'll admit this. I don't pay that close of attention until the NBA, until the playoffs, just because the season is too long, and any team with a chance at the championship is going to be in the field of 16. But I tell you this, there are a lot of great players in the world now, and some teams that should challenge the Cavaliers and the Warriors for supremacy. And now you have the total animosity newly brewed between the Clippers and Rockets, getting into a fight after a game this week. And I tell you what, it's going to be pretty unpredictable, but it's very hard to beat the Warriors or a good LeBron James team in 4 games out of 7, and that's what those teams must be able to do. Going to be hard to unseat Golden State. So many weapons on the floor. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they're pretty much everywhere. But the Rockets are looking like they're going to try, but that situation with the Clippers this week is going to be dealt with perhaps very severely by Adam Silver and company.
This is Sports Scene on 1650 AM, 92.5 FM. TuneIn.com, type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. with Joe Daniel, Sonny Dearth, Greg Bicouvaris. Glad you're with us, and our good friends at CP Shuckers, Locals Tradition, Shore Drive, Pacific Avenue. People love their delicious food, great appetizers, steak bites, sandwiches, burgers, specials, all the games on TV. Go by and see Matt, Mark, and all the great people. Locals Tradition, Shore Drive, Pacific Avenue, delicious food, great apps, steak bites, sandwiches, burgers, specials, all the games on TV. For more, go to cpshuckers.com. One thing that does not work, this is just my opinion, your opinion can be totally different. Isaiah Thomas. You can't have two type A's working together. LeBron is a type A, demonstrative, polarizing, maybe the best player since Michael Jordan in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas is worthless on defense. All he wants to do is shoot the ball. I'm sorry, I'm not an Isaiah Thomas fan. I've seen him play in person. He is a ball hog. Yes, I've got sympathy because he lost a family member. But you can't go to Cleveland and act like you're the star. You're not the star. You never will be the star.
No, nobody will be the star in Cleveland above LeBron as long as he stays there. And for his sake, I hope he does this time. I think it's too early to tell how LeBron James and Isaiah Thomas will get along. It could be they mesh very well. It could be they don't. And that's what, the regular season basically is just an experiment. And then their legacy will be made in the playoffs.
Before we talk about college basketball, being up in Washington, going to George Mason, a lot of Wizards talk, of course, always, and seeing them play several times, and this station has carried them before. It's always the talk up there, let's get out of the middle of the pack. We got two stars, Beal and Wall. And, of course, recently I heard, well, let's bring up that intensity in the fourth quarter like we do the first three. But like Glenn Consor, who's an accomplished analyst on college basketball and the NBA, said, you can't just win on finesse in the NBA.
Now, the Wizards, if they're at their best, certainly are capable of challenging the Cavaliers and Boston Celtics, who have been incredibly good given the early season loss of Gordon Hayward. But sometimes I think the Wizards kind of go through the motions, and it doesn't always work out that way.
Talking to Sonny Dearth at Greg Bick on Twitter. Switching gears to college basketball, UVA is off to a really good start, an excellent 2018 so far.
I remember at the beginning of the season when I saw the Cavaliers were unranked, I was really puzzled at that. I probably would have put them between 15 and 20. Going into this week, they're all the way up at number 2. That team has meshed incredibly well. They always play great defense, and they have a better offense than often they have had, even during most of the Tony Bennett era. DeAndre Hunter has emerged as a surprise offensively, and Isaiah Wilkins is the defensive glue that holds the pack line together.
Absolutely. And, of course, UVA has struggled in the postseason, meaning they haven't gone far. They've made the postseason, which a lot of teams can't even do that. But I guess that's the next point for Coach Bennett, who's a wonderful coach, is to evolve in the NCAA postseason.
Well, last year was disappointing. A lopsided loss to Florida in the second round. Otherwise, they did quite well. And before losing to Syracuse, that was kind of disappointing. Almost in the Final Four for the Wahoos. And then Malachi kept him away from it.
Absolutely. And, of course, what else in the ACC? North Carolina has lost to Wofford this year, but they still are a tough team. We saw them recently take on Notre Dame, beat Notre Dame as well. And, of course, Duke is Duke, even with a young team. NC State's beaten Duke. So, really, it's going to come down to the ACC tournament. Syracuse is always tough with the 2-3 zone.
Well, it's kind of baffling. I think the ACC will get probably between 6, maybe even 7 or 8 teams in the NCAA tournament. Certainly Duke and Carolina will compete for the national championship if the Blue Devils and Tar Heels are on their game. Perhaps UVA can also. And I'm thinking this year is the season when Clemson ends its NCAA tournament drought. Notre Dame has been pretty good, but we'll need Farrell and Colson back to be at its best. And, maybe even a surprise team will be out there to make the NCAAs, like Boston College. Florida State certainly has a lot of talent. Pretty much except for Pittsburgh and maybe Georgia Tech. You can put everybody in the ACC, shake them up, and you pull 2 teams out, you'll probably have a pretty decent basketball game.
I'm glad Clemson, you mentioned Clemson, stuck with their head coach. He did a really good job at UNC Wilmington, and it shows you have to have patience.
Yeah, and Clemson was right in keeping Brad Brownell. I know the Tigers were thinking they'd be a little better last year. They lost so many close games. The great thing about Clemson is the Orange Fellows returned plenty of talent this season, and it's really come together well.
Other teams, of course, in the country, you got to look at Kentucky, but then you look at Michigan State, who struggled as well recently, too. It just shows you how valuable and how right that NCAA tournament is.
Well, it's in a way, it's kind of a shame that so much is predicated on the NCAA tournament. You can have a fantastic season, one bad game, and people will remember you just for the bad game. In a sense, that game with Florida was kind of tough on UVA like that. It's going to be a situation where nobody is clearly ahead of anybody else. As we go into the week, Villanova, UVA, and Wichita State are among the best teams. But there are so many that are capable of taking the big trophy in April.
Absolutely. Talking to Sonny Dearth, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows at Greg Bick on Twitter, GREGBIC. Add me on Facebook as well at Greg Bicouvaris, and, of course, Sonny Dearth, too, our distinguished guest, too. When you talk about other things going on in college basketball, too, let's move gears now toward the state of Virginia, kind of work our way around the state. Old Dominion, I've had Coach Jones on several times in sports highlights, too, and he's still frustrated that, no matter what conference, especially Conference USA, for the most part, since he's been here, it's been a one-bid league.
One of the ironic things about Old Dominion is back in the heyday of the Blaine Taylor era, the Colonial Athletic Association had started to become a multi-bid league. The great year of 2011 sticks out there when ODU was so good. So was Mason. And VCU ended up trumping them all by getting to the Final Four. Now, the move to Conference USA clearly was driven by the football program's desire to go to FBS. At that time, I wouldn't have guessed Conference USA would become a one-bid league, but remember, Louisville used to be in Conference USA. Memphis used to be in Conference USA. Sometimes there were multiple bids then, but lately there have not been. This particular ODU team, I think, definitely will make the NIT if it doesn't win the Conference USA tournament. But it's hard to see an at-large bid coming for the Monarchs, though they've had an excellent season.
All right, in or out kind of your opinions, play prognosticator as we get closer and closer to February. Virginia Tech and Buzz Williams.
Probably right on the bubble. If they can go around 500 in the ACC, they'll probably make it. If they're under 500, I don't think their non-conference resume was enough to get them in.
There's a lot of good teams in the ACC, but they all can't get in. I mean, I don't think Wake and Pitt are going to make it, but anybody else is pretty much up for grabs right now.
Yeah, there definitely are double-digit ACC teams capable of making the NCAA tournament. But Tech didn't have that great of a non-conference schedule, so the opportunities for big wins for Buzz Williams Hokies will almost exclusively come inside the conference.
Before we talk about what's right in the A-10, what's up with Richmond this year? You grew up in Richmond. What is up with the University of Richmond?
The Spiders have lost a lot of close games. However, they are still dangerous. They lost 13 of their first 17 games. But there's still a fair amount of talent on that team. Some of it is quite young. But they're not a team to be taken lightly despite that record.
And the A-10 is a team, unlike Conference USA, has had multiple teams. This year it might not be a lot, but I think right now that Rhode Island and Duquesne are playing pretty well. VCU has struggled lately.
I think Rhode Island probably will make the NCAA tournament regardless of whether it wins the Atlantic 10 tournament, which is in Washington this season. I don't see any other team getting an at-large bid. The VCU will be a threat. I'm really determined to say that. Certainly St. Bonaventure is quite capable with Matt Mobley in the backcourt, and Duquesne has been very improved.
Absolutely. And, of course, George Mason, my alma mater, they've been tinkering around 500, not quite at the level Larinaga had them years ago.
Oh, no, not at all. But Paulson has been able to come up with a few good surprises. Nevertheless, it will be hard to duplicate the Larranaga era. That's for sure.
All right, let's switch gears to the CAA. William & Mary, James Madison, your thoughts on both those schools?
William & Mary's having a fantastic season until getting blown out at home by Towson. The Tribe was undefeated in the CAA with some incredibly dramatic victories, coming back to beat Hofstra late, coming back from 20 points down to beat JMU. William & Mary, is this the year Tony Shaver's guys can become the first NCAA tournament men's basketball team in school history? It's quite possible. Tribe is very fun to watch play. JMU, on the other hand, it's hard to imagine a team being less lucky than JMU has. They're about 10 games under 500, and they have had 6 or 7 when they have been in the lead or tied in the final minute of regulation, but have not been able to finish the game with the victory.
Talking to Sonny Dearth, Greg Bicouvaris. In the next segment, we'll talk to Sonny about the Australian Open, his thoughts about American tennis. Really a bad first week as well. And you talk about what Coach Shaver wants is that elusive NCAA tournament bid. He'll say it. He said he's had good teams. He's had postseason teams even, but he has not gotten to the NCAA tournament. He's one of the longest tenured coaches now ever in Wayne Mary history.
And he might very well be the best.
So your thoughts about Wayne Mary's potential NCAA tournament bids? Might not be the best team they've ever had, but you don't always have to be the best team to win your tournament.
Probably. I don't see William & Mary getting an at-large bid. I do think at worst they will be in the NIT. Nathan Knight is a fantastic player. He reminds me a little bit of David Robinson. He's left-handed and tall and athletic and smart.
All right, switching gears. Old Dominion's former coach Karen Barefoot, who went to Menchville High School, and Christopher Uport at UNC Wilmington, but Old Dominion's women's basketball team has really struggled this year.
This has been a transition year for Nikki McCray, former South Carolina assistant coach and Tennessee player under Pat Summitt. I didn't think ODU would do that great, but I'm surprised at just how rough this season has been. Against Hampton University, it looked like the Lady Monarchs would pull off a big win over one of the MEAC's best teams. And then Hampton finished the game on a 25-2 run as Old Dominion came completely unglued against David Six's press.
And Hampton's women had a good win earlier this year.
Well, I tell you what, always Hampton will be in contention for the MEAC title. And they play a tough non-conference schedule to get themselves ready.
But how about against North Carolina?
Exactly. That's probably their best example. They defeated the Tar Heels in Chapel Hill to start the year.
Speaking of which, ESPN did a great job on a story. It caught me a double take. I was flicking the channels and I had to do a double take on this excellent former player at UVA, Sky LaRue, who was unfortunate, basically now homeless, been in and out of jails. Sad case, just because you have riches one day, it doesn't always end, and mental health is so important.
Yeah, that's certainly a dramatic example of why that stuff needs to draw more attention.
Yes, absolutely. Talking to Sonny Dearth right here, we're going to preview his thoughts on the Australian Open and, of course, the final few days of that event as well. This is Sports Scene midweek on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, of course, and online as well on the radio on Saturdays from 1 to 2 on 1650 AM, 92.5 FM, TuneIn.com, subscribe as well, TuneIn.com by typing in WHKT from 1 to 2 each Saturday. For more, log on to gjbtv.com, hit the YouTube link for archive shows as well. Sonny, be remiss to say congratulations to James Madison not winning the football championship but becoming runner-ups.
Yeah, the Dukes certainly had an exciting season. By far the best regular season they've ever had. Went undefeated, including a domination of East Carolina in their opener. The only unfortunate thing for them was they were so close to beating North Dakota State again. Remember, North Dakota State won 5 titles in a row, and then JMU beat the Bison in the semis last year, or now in 2016 in Fargo, and won the championship over Youngstown State. This time, JMU and North Dakota State ended up in the final in Frisco. North Dakota State built the early lead and held on as JMU made a few mistakes it hadn't been making for most of the season. And I'm curious to see if they can come back and challenge the Bison again. Why not? Mike Houston's a fantastic coach, and the recruiting there has just been outstanding in the last few years.
All right, we'll come back on the other side. This is Sports Scene right here on 1650 AM, 92.5 FM, tunein.com. Greg Bicouvaris, stick around. We'll be back after this.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes.
Sports Scene, Hampton Roads' premier interview show with Greg Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 1 to 2.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average. 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 1 on AM 1650, The Answer. Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddie's.
Diversified Strategies Business Support Center, a partner for all your administrative needs. Call 201-3091 or visit divstrategies.com.
Diversified Strategies.
Take the stress out of doing business. Diversified Strategies.
We're getting way too many orders. We definitely need some help. Checks are late again? Who's in charge of this accounting?
I'm Linda Carrington with Diversified Strategy. Are you a small business or a church with 3 to 50 employees? Are you taking bags and boxes to your tax preparer at the end of the year? Stop. You're running blindly. Develop the track to run on. Have your accounting done on a monthly basis to ensure that you know the course your business is taking. Give us a call.
Diversified Strategies Business Support Center. Call 201-3091 or visit divstrategies.com.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com.
All right, now time for highlights. I want to thank our good friends at Craft Burger Bar and Jamie at 1706 Mediterranean Avenue in Virginia Beach. Excellent appetizers like Kraft Chili, Fried House Pickles, Wagyu Burgers. Folks, there's something to behold of. Coronado, the Greek, the Pepper, the Shroom, the Sunrise. Excellent toppings. Carolina Snap Dogs, chicken sandwiches, salads, vegan burgers, house-cut fries, beer-battered onion rings. Great place to watch TV, sit back, relax with your friends. Spacious dining room and bar. Go by and see Jamie and the staff right near the ocean front at 1706 Mediterranean Avenue, Virginia Beach. Enjoy a delicious meal today. All right, highlights as well, of course, right here. Sports Highlights is on nnpstv.com, gjbtv.com. Click the YouTube link for archive shows as well as Sports Scene. And, of course, Sports Scene is online on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, radio Saturday from 1 to 2, HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit, bookmark it, very important. The 3 websites, of course, gjbtv.com, HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com, and hrsmhof.com. All right, our question presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News to Joe Daniel, the producer extraordinaire. Joe Daniel, very simple. Do you believe in soulmates?
It sounds like a simple question, but it's kind of complicated because if you're a religious person like I am a religious person, so I kind of want to think, yes, there is a specific person that the higher being that I worship has designated for me. But at the same time, in a scientific logistical meaning, out of all the billions of people, now 7 billion people on Earth, I'm sure there are a couple million people that I could be just as compatible with and have a happy life with. So I'm kind of torn. But personally, do I actually think that there is a soulmate for you? I kind of have a hard time saying there is just one specific person that I'm supposed to be with.
Because you can put it this way in perspective from a religious standpoint. God created everyone individually. No two are exactly the same, not even twins.
Right. Absolutely. And that idea of also completing each other. I'm not sure. I don't really believe that. I need this other person because that person completes me. I don't think that exists. I think that's talked up a bit. So I don't really believe in a soulmate. I think there are millions of people that an individual could have a very happy, full life with.
I think the best soulmate is faith. That's my opinion. All right, Buffalo Wild Wings, lunch, dinner, great appetizers, mozzarella sticks, salads, boneless, traditional wings. They are so good. Excellent burgers, wraps, sandwiches, tenders, macs, beverages, desserts, a kids menu, games on TV, wings, beer, sports. Go by and see Paul and the great staff 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Watch all the great action on TV like the NBA and college basketball. Give them a call at 249-3999. And, of course, visit them right next to Patrick Henry Mall in Newport News at 12150 Jefferson Avenue. Big spacious dining room, Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 485-5555 today.
The Senior Ministry of Virginia Beach United Methodist Church invites you to attend Final Wishes, a special event that will walk you through the process of capturing your legacy for sharing. Topics covered will include memorial planning, writing obituaries, and the facts and fiction about funeral homes. Final Wishes will take place on February 18th at 12:30 p.m., and the deadline to register is 12 p.m. February 12th. To register and learn more, visit vbumc.org.
Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddie's. Sports and Imports, located at 1322 Transylvania Avenue in Chesapeake. Sports and Imports specializes in all European models without the European price. ASE certified and Bosch certified. Don't waste time and money guessing what the problem is. Sports and Imports can pinpoint the problem and fix it the first time. Make an appointment today. Financing is available. Visit sportsandimports.net or call 545-9394. You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg.
All right, welcome to the second part of our interview with Sonny Dearth. This is Sports Scene. Don't forget sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Charcoal rotisserie cooked Peruvian-style chicken as a charcoal chicken pollo a la brasa. Go by and see James and the staff. Excellent charcoal chicken menu, excellent sides like the yuca fries, the veggie medley, salad, black beans and rice, kids menu, dessert, drinks, as well. Open Tuesday through Sunday at noon. Charcoal chicken, no antibiotics, no added hormones, no preservatives ever. Like them on Facebook as well at the Lomans Plaza in Virginia Beach, right near the Central Library at 4000 Virginia Beach Boulevard. Give them a call at 486-5000. That's 486-5000. What is the state of American men's tennis? What is the state of American women's tennis?
Women's tennis over the summer was outstanding. All four of the U.S. Open semifinalists were from America, with Sloane Stephens winning the championship over Madison Keys. And the semifinalists were Coco Vandeweghe and Venus Williams. Amazingly, three of those players lost on the first day of the Australian Open. The only one to survive was Madison Keys. Venus lost to Belinda Bencic. Sloane Stephens fell to a Chinese player, Zhang. And Coco lost to Timea Babos of Hungary. The sport is very unpredictable these days. And Sloane Stephens hasn't even won a match since she won the U.S. Open. She's 0-8. It's just hard to explain, but there are so many good players in the world. If you're just a little off your game, that can be a big problem. On the American men's side, let's face it, we're never going to have an era like we did with McEnroe and Connors. I don't see that happening. However, there's still plenty of promise out there, lots of young guys. I'd say the best at the moment is probably Sam Querrey. He looked very impressive against Feliciano Lopez in the first round of the Australian Open. John Isner's not quite there at the moment. Jack Sock, who had a fantastic close to 2017, suffered a disappointing first-round loss to Sugita of Japan. I'm hoping that the new development program led by Brian Boland, the former four-time winning UVA NCAA championship coach, will get the men's tennis program up and going again, but that's hard to say.
Sonny, you mentioned McEnroe and Connors, but American tennis is not at the level they were with Sampras and Agassi or Chang either.
Oh, no. That was the second great era of my lifetime anyway. Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi are all-time greats. Michael Chang won the French Open and came very close to winning other majors. Jim Courier won the French Open and Australian Open. He had a fantastic career too, and you see him occasionally doing interviews these days. But the game has spread so much in popularity, it's hard for Americans to dominate, and probably always will be.
Of course, Serena Williams had a baby, of course, and that's going to stop her play a little bit too, but she's no spring chicken either. Can she continue this dominance after the baby? And you got to wonder, even if she does continue it, for how much longer?
I think she might have 2 or 3 good years left if she wants it. Certainly her priorities have changed with her youngin's birth, but I know she still is a fierce competitor.
Absolutely. Talking to Sonny Dearth, of course, S. Dearth on Twitter. That's SDEARTH on Twitter. Greg Bick on Twitter as well, talking American tennis, of course. And, you talk about getting that Grand Slam. It's so tough to get that Grand Slam. David Wheaton never got it. Will Isner ever get it?
No, I can't imagine he's going to win a major. I still think he can do better, though. For him, big-time success is reaching the second week, the round of 16. And I tell you what, tennis fans, appreciate the era we are in. Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal are 2 of the best 3 or 4 players who ever have existed on this earth. Andy Murray, hopefully he can come back. Novak Djokovic, hopefully he can come back as well. Stan Wawrinka, getting back into action. There are so many good players. The game has never been better than it is right now.
What I'm really impressed for from a longevity standpoint is in the men and the women, no matter how many slams they won, because they've all won multiple slams, is Murray and Nadal are going down in history like Borg and Connors and McEnroe, are even better for longevity and as far as slams. For women, the Serena Williams and Venus Williams, the sisters, several decades now, still playing tennis. Venus is not what she used to be, but the fact that she's still front and center and playing is impressive.
Yeah, it's clear that they've gotten the most out of their abilities and that they still really enjoy the game and everything that comes with it.
Talking to Sonny Dearth, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us right here on Sports Scene, 1650 AM, 92.5 FM, as well as TuneIn.com by typing in WHKT on your phone or your computer. And, of course, the French Open, Wimbledon, U.S. Open, still plenty of tennis as well. What about college tennis in the state of Virginia?
Well, the most interesting team to follow, almost as always, the University of Virginia. They've won 4 of the last 5 NCAA men's championships. But as you might have heard, Brian Boland, their great coach, left to join the USTA's development staff in Florida. That means that Andres Pedroso, one of his former assistants from years ago and a former Duke star in his own right, is going to coach the Cavaliers. And I'm very curious to see how they do. Also, Virginia Tech, Old Dominion, VCU, just among some of the very good teams in the state. In Division III, Christopher Newport's nationally ranked. I'm very curious to see how they do. Virginia Wesleyan's improving. William & Mary's got a fine team. On the women's side, it's kind of similar, though I don't think there's a national championship contender from the state. UVA has a new coach, and William & Mary's got a fine team, probably the favorite in the Colonial Athletic Association. Virginia Tech should be quite competitive. Old Dominion, led by the coach Don Manila, is very good.
Very good. I want to thank our good friends at Red Mango as well. Go by and see Raj right there at the Marketplace at the Tech Center at 12080 Jefferson Avenue, Newport News. Give them a call at 927-2345. Of course, independently owned and operated. They have excellent frozen yogurt with no sugar added and loaded with, of course, excellent probiotics. Of course, fresh fruit smoothies, fresh fruit and vegetable juices, raw 6 juice plans as well. Acai bowls too at Red Mango. Go by and see Raj, of course, in Newport News at the brand new Tech Center. You'll be glad you did. Healthy type of beverages for today's lifestyle is at Red Mango as well. Major League Baseball, hot stove. Of course, we saw how well the Astros did. The Yankees, of course, really got themselves stronger during the offseason.
It's certainly the biggest offseason move in a relatively slow hot stove time for baseball is the acquisition of Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge in the same outfield. The Yankees games are going to be incredibly well attended, not just for the game itself, but for batting practice. It'll be like home run derby every night.
Absolutely. And, of course, you've always liked the Braves. Is this the year that, with the Nationals making a coaching, managing change, the Braves can get back to being relevant? The Mets, of course, made the World Series a few years ago. They struggle with injuries and pitching. David Wright's getting older. You mentioned the Phillies have not been relevant for a while either. The Marlins really just cleaned house with Derek Jeter. So is it the Nationals to lose again in that division?
Oh, definitely. Washington, I think, is clearly the best team in the NL East.
Well, what about else in baseball, too, as far as American League and National League both?
It'll be interesting to see if the Cleveland Indians can stay good. They've been so good the last couple of years. The Houston Astros were brilliant last season in winning the World Series, and now they get to start the year with Justin Verlander and now with Garrett Cole, whom they just acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Houston really had the classic example of building from the bottom up, and it worked so well, led by Jose Altuve and George Springer.
McCutcheon's trade, were you surprised by it?
We kind of knew the Pirates were going to trade him somewhere. It's interesting that the San Francisco Giants are the ones to get him. They also have Evan Longoria coming to them. The Giants' offense was rather lacking this year, and they had the even year streak of winning World Series. And it's an even year now, so we'll see if the Giants can be competitive again. But it's going to be hard to knock off the Dodgers.
I'm not a big fan of, we talk about what tees me off in this show all the time, of fantasy sports. Do you like fantasy sports at all?
I'm not that big into it, but I certainly understand the appeal.
Mm-hmm. I don't like it at all. I think it's a big waste of time as well. All right, let's switch gears to high school postseason, high school basketball, high school winter sports in general. The travel is always an issue this time of the year in January when it's cold. But after the holidays, several holidays, New Year's Day, of course, January 15th, there was a holiday too, the snow days. It's really wreaked havoc with both sides of the water for basketball scheduling.
Yeah, there was way too long of a break, at least according to most coaches, because of the holidays and then bad weather on top of that. And what's going to be interesting this season, number one, the teams are going to have to play a lot of games during a week, maybe even 4 in some cases. That's an awful lot of play for those guys. And secondly, and this has nothing to do with the weather, I'm curious to see how the seeding point system results in regional brackets. You have no district tournaments, and now you have no conference tournaments. I wasn't a particularly big fan of conferences because I thought the travel was way too much. But the good thing about conferences is that they provided an automatic path into the regional tournament. Now, I'm very curious to see how these brackets get done, and I think there are going to be some teams unhappy with either their seeding or maybe they didn't qualify at all. I'm curious to see what happens because this is an entirely new era of VHSL hoops.
How do you go about covering a lot of the integration between the Daily Press and the Pilot? How's that going on?
Well, we certainly use each other as resources a lot. There aren't as many people to go out and cover games as there used to be. I'm kind of in a control center at the Daily Press desk.
How do you make a decision, Sonny? Because you can't cover but so many high school games. You've done a great job over the years on Page 2 and briefs. I guess you're really utilizing the Page 2 and the briefs for high school sports so much more now.
Yeah, and we also use a lot of social media, both to get stuff out there and to find out what happened if we were not there. I mean, great example of social media. Thanks to the Times Dispatch site, which is 804varsity.com, we found out that when the Franklin girls beat Appomattox Regional Governor's School 79-77, ARGS is in Petersburg, if you've never heard of it. ARGS had a player named Jada Boyd who set state records with 71 points and 33 rebounds. And yet Franklin won the game.
Absolutely. All right, Sonny Dearth, thank you so much for joining us for the better part of the hour here on Sports Scene, midweek online, Saturday from 1 to 2. TuneIn.com as well. Type in WHKT 1650 AM, 92.5 FM. Give us your Twitter handle one more time.
At S as in Steve, DEARTH. Esther.
Should be a great close to college basketball for February and March Madness as well, both in the men and the women. Sonny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that was Sonny Dearth right here. Stay tuned. Sports Scene will roll on after these messages.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 485-5555 today.
Virginia Beach United Methodist Church presents award-winning storyteller Donald Davis, who the Los Angeles Times calls one of the most important figures on today's storytelling circuit. Donald Davis will entertain, challenge, and inspire you with the warmth of homespun stories from his childhood living in the Appalachian Mountains. These performances are free and will be held on February 9th and 10th at 7 p.m., in addition to 3 Sunday morning services on February 11th. For more information, visit vbumc.org.
Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in their mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road in Chesapeake for lunch or dinner, and like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is Spaghetti Eddie's. You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg. What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
And our good friends at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville and Virginia Beach. Go by and see Mike and the staff. Enjoy their nice, spacious dining area, excellent bar, lunch and dinner daily, 7 days a week. Burgers, steaks, soup, salads, appetizers, seafood, pasta, chicken ribs, chops, appetizers, excellent desserts. Beverages, dine-in or carry-out 7 days a week, right there at 1255 Fordham Drive in Virginia Beach. Give them a call at 523-4832. Enjoy lunch, dinner, great snacks, desserts at Outback Steakhouse, the best burgers and steaks in Virginia Beach. Okay, Joe Daniel, time for What Tees Me Off. Bad initial greetings when you meet someone for the first time, especially in church, especially in the communion line when you're trying to usher someone to take communion.
Yeah, like a bad interaction with somebody. So like a bad first impression of them.
Like who, me? It's my turn, but just it doesn't go well.
It's awkward
because you really can't talk in church.
Right. Yeah, the awkward stuff. And what's expanding on that is just a handshake as well. Handshakes or high fives can be super awkward. I like doing them, but at the same time, I hate doing them because it never turns out to be like simple. Like somebody goes in for a handshake and another person wants to hold on to your hand, and then you try to hold on to their hand, and it just gets awkward. You don't know what they're going to do, whether they want to do like a handshake like they're in a club or something, or if it's just going to be a normal standard salesman handshake. It's just awkward.
Yeah, that first impression, because really it's best to talk during social hour, coffee hour, but when you're trying to have a conversation in a quiet environment like a library or church, like you said, very, very difficult for that first time and that first eye-to-eye contact we talk about so much as well. The Excel format, I like Word, I like PDF, I like Excel for sending stuff, but it just seems like Excel is in a league of its own.
It is. It is a very powerful piece of software. And I remember using Excel when I was in high school and in college a little bit, and we're just scratching the surface. And then when I actually worked at an insurance company, that's where we actually tested the real full true power of Excel. And I had no idea, but you can actually incorporate Excel into a Word document. So you can do all the calculations on the back end through Excel and feed out the answers into a Word document. And it's just interesting how these two softwares are actually talking to each other. And it truly is a word processor group that all works together.
I'm going to ask you about converting PDF to Excel later. That's for another topic, of course. What else teased me off? Slippery surfaces, whether it's snow, ice, or water. Your shoes might not be ready.
Yeah, or yourself, or your behind may not be ready for what's about to come as well. Yeah, kids, though, we were shoveling the snow the other week, and my kids were out there, and they were slipping every which way, just trying to get from one side of the driveway to the other side of the driveway. Fortunately, I slipped a little bit. I never actually ate it myself, but slipping and sliding, it's just an interesting feeling of having no control over your body for that split second.
When somebody at your house, you're sitting on the couch, relaxing, watching TV, cooking, talking to a friend, and all of a sudden somebody knocks at your door, not at your door, not at your doorbell, but at your window with their fist to get your attention. That can startle you.
Yeah, that is scary. That just didn't even tease me off. That's frightening. That's just scary. Somebody knocking on your window to get your attention. I mean, it's one thing when you open up the screen door and you got to knock somewhere. Yeah. And if you just have a glass door, that's obviously one thing. But to actually like peer off to the side, look into your living room or your kitchen and start banging on the window. Hey, I'm here. No,
that's not
Don't
cool.
do that on my house.
How about this? When you pay someone by check, yet they're too lazy to go cash the check.
Yeah, and then wait until the 29th day, until the actual 30-day expiration. That's as soon as you get a check, it's probably because they have the money. Unless they say otherwise, they have the money in the account right away. Best to cash it right away, as opposed to waiting 30 days down the road, 28 days down the road, and then maybe the money's not there.
Right. I want to thank our good friends at Sakura Japanese Restaurant. Go by and see Jasmine and the great staff in Chesapeake at 1437 Sam's Drive. Give them a call at 410-4577 for excellent Japanese cuisine. All right, I want to thank our special guest today, Sonny Dearth. Been on radio and TV with me since 1988. For more, log on to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows. Take a look at all my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com in the contact section as well. So hope you enjoyed the show. Stay warm. For Joe Daniel, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. We'll talk to you soon.